look at different ways of dividing polynomials. And when we're talking about dividing polynomials, there are two different ways that we're going to look at. And the first way is just long division. And when I talk about long division, this is just like you would do with numbers, long division. So let's say that you have the number 4,829 and you want to divide that by 7. Doing this without a calculator, you would say, okay, how many times does 7 go into 4? None. How many times does 7 go into 48? 6 times. 6 times 7 would give you 42. You would subtract. That would give you 6. Bring down the 2. How many times does 7 go into 62? Well, that would be 8. 8 times 7 is 56. Subtract. 62 minus 56 would be 6. Bring down the 9, because we'd bring it all the way down. 7 would go into 69 9 times. 9 times 7 would be 63. Subtract. And you would have a remainder of 6. So, long division. Well, we can do long division with polynomials as well. So let's take, for instance, we want to divide 2x to the third plus 4x squared minus 3x minus 6, and we want to divide that by an x plus 3. We would set it up in this same manner. We would say, okay, x plus 3 goes into 2x to the third plus 4x squared minus a 3x minus 6. What do I need to multiply the x by to get 2x to the third? Well, think about x dividing into 2x to the third. That would divide in there 2x squared times. And I'm going to put it above the 2x squared because you kind of want to keep your x squareds, things like that, the same. So 2x times x would give me a 2x to the third. 2x squared times a 3 actually gives me a 6x squared. I subtract this polynomial, so I change the signs of these. So instead of a positive 6x squared, I now have a negative 6x squared. These are going to go away. That's going to leave me with a negative 2x squared. Bring down my minus 3x. X will go into a negative 2x squared, a negative 2x times. So negative 2x times x will give me negative 2x squared. Negative 2x times a 3 will give me a negative 6x. Again, I will go through and change those signs because I want to subtract, just like we were subtracting over here. And so that would give me that these cancel out. Negative 3x and a positive 6x would leave me with a 3x. Bring down the 6, and that's a minus 6. x will go into 3x, a positive 3 times. 3 times x would give me a positive 3x. 3 times 3 would give me a positive 9. I go in and change those signs because I want to subtract. Negative 6 and negative 9 would give me a negative 15. Well, x can't go into negative 15, so this is my remainder. My remainder would be a negative 15 over an x plus 3. So whenever I divide this, I get a 2x squared minus 2x plus 3 plus a negative 15 divided by an x plus 3. This is like my remainder. Okay, now that's long division. And that can get really hectic whenever we have leading coefficients and things like that. Okay, we don't really want to do that. So we're going to introduce something now that's called synthetic division. And it's a way of dividing polynomials without having to go through the long division. And I'm going to divide that exact same polynomial. So I'm still going to look at the 2x to the third plus a 4x squared minus a 3x minus 6. I'm still going to divide that by this x plus 3. Now the thing about synthetic division is this right here, you have to get it into an x equals situation. So think about setting this equal to 0, x plus 3 equals 0, so x is equal to a negative 3. If you already have it in an x equals situation, then just leave it as is. But if it's in this format, like a factored format, you've got to get it into this root format. We're going to put this divisor here in this little bitty box over here. And then since we're starting out, our degree is a 3, think about putting an x to the third, and I'm literally going to walk it down where I have x to the third, x squared, x, and then my constant. And I'm going to put the coefficients for each of these underneath. So I have a positive 2, a positive 4, negative, and a negative 6. Okay, your first number is just going to come straight down, 2. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take each of these numbers along this bottom row, and we're going to multiply them times this number over here. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to take these numbers here and multiply. So negative 3 times 2 will give me a negative 6. The biggest thing you have to pay attention to here is we are going to add down. Instead of subtracting, we're just going to add down. So 4 plus a negative 6 will give me a negative 2. Negative 2 times a negative 3 gives me a positive 6. Negative 3 plus a positive 6 will give me a positive 3. Negative 3 times a positive 3 will give me a negative 9. Negative 6 and a negative 9 gives me a negative 15. This last one we're always going to box off. The last one will always be your remainder. So the very last one underneath your constant is always your remainder, no matter what. We started off with x to the third. We're dividing out. So now what we have is just an x squared. And we're going to take the first number and put it with our x squared. So we started out with x to the third, and now we have an x squared. This one will be an x, and this one will be my constant, and then again my remainder over what we divided. So 2x squared minus a 2x plus 3 plus a negative 15 over, plus a negative 15 over x plus 3, which is the exact same thing we got here. We just don't have to worry about all those x's on the numerator and subtracting and everything else. So in the next video, we'll do some additional examples.